You're tuned into the Burrage Sports Show.
Yo, what's up, everybody? It is the Burrage Sports Show. We are back and ready to roll. I am one of your hosts, Mike B, and I'm here with my son,
Mike Burr.
Mike Burr, man, it is a lot going on. The NBA starts tonight. The Bears are in the playoff hunt.
Yep.
The NFL is rocking and rolling. Mike Burr, we got to have a good show tonight, man. It's a lot going on.
Yeah, it feels good to be back. It's a lot to talk about, so let's get into it.
All right, well, let's start with the Bears. As you guys know, we're from the Chi. This sports podcast is for every sport, every player, but we're a little biased when it comes to Chicago teams. Let's talk about our Bears. They're a surprising 7-7 out of nowhere to go where. Mike Burr, hit me up with what's going on with the Bears. Can we make the playoffs?
Well, yeah. Well, they started off 5-1, and then they go on a 6-game losing streak, and then but they won the last 2 games, so they're back in the hunt. But they got 2 must-win games against the Jaguars and the Packers, and they're gonna need one of these. Well, the Cardinals is really the only team. They need the Cardinals to lose one, if not both of those games, and they play the 49ers and the Rams. And so the 49ers aren't looking too good. They had a lot of injuries, but the Rams are one of the best teams in the league. And more importantly than that, do you think the Bears could beat the Packers right now if Aaron Rodgers plays the last game?
To be honest, and I'm a Bear fan, it hurts to say this, no. But what could happen, Aaron Rodgers might sit out the last game because the Packers might be all set. Because right now, they're the king of the North. They're number 1 in the NFC North. And as it stands right now, they're number 1 in the entire NFC. So, and this might sound a little weird, we might get lucky, whereas the last game of the season, we need that win to get into the playoffs. We're playing the Packers, the top team in the NFC, and it might be best for the Packers to not even play Aaron Rodgers.
So you're saying this week, despite everything, the Bears should actually be rooting for the Packers to lock things up?
Kind of in a way, yes. As weird as that sounds, the Packers might be in a position where it wouldn't make any sense for them to play Aaron Rodgers in the last game of the season unless they just want to stick it to the Bears and send us home. Or Aaron Rodgers, he's a veteran, he's a Super Bowl winner, he's an MVP, and he might not want to sit out. He might want to play through like we've seen Tom Brady and Peyton Manning and other quarterbacks of that ilk do before, where they want to stay sharp. They might even just play for the first half, but they prefer to be on the field.
Yeah, I agree. That's honestly our best chance. I think we could beat the Jaguars, but the way this team has been up and down this year, I just can't see them beating the Packers, especially the way they got handled the last time we saw them. So, yeah, if Aaron Rodgers sits out or only plays a half, that may be enough to get us in the playoffs. But if that's the mentality of the team, I want to make the playoffs at this point. I want a good draft pick, because if we need Aaron Rodgers to sit out to win, we're not going to do that well in the playoffs.
No, I agree. And don't get me wrong, that's not the mentality of the team. This is
right.
2 guys on the podcast who love the Bears, who are just being a little realistic, because Aaron Rodgers has traditionally owned the Bears since he's been the Packers starting quarterback. But if the Bears have to go up against Aaron Rodgers, and that's the game to get into the playoffs, look, it's the oldest rival in football. The Bears are going to give everything they have, and that's why you play the game. It's any given Sunday, and why not? Miracles can happen. We can maybe pull off a big upset victory. So I'm not saying that that's going to be the Bears' mentality. Definitely not, because we get up for that game every time anyway. As a Bear, that's our Super Bowl every year. Even when we're not playing well, we just want to beat the Packers. So I don't think the team will have that mentality. I'm just being a little realistic as a fan, maybe a little pessimistic, even though
I can't blame you based off of what we've seen this season.
Right, on past history. But we're going to be rooting for the Bears. We always root for the Bears. And we're going to, it's even more special every time we beat the Packers. I mean, that's what we live for.
Now, if Aaron Rodgers does play, and this team, they are looking hot. If they beat the Packers with Aaron Rodgers playing the whole game, then we make the playoffs. Maybe this is a Cinderella crazy once in a lifetime team that can make a crazy run, being 8-8 or 9, and they will have to be 9-7 and going for a run.
Hey, that's where you play the games. I mean, it's not impossible. That's why the whole thing is just to get there. You don't have a chance if you don't get there.
Right.
So, that because I think the year the Packers won the playoffs with Aaron Rodgers, they were like a 4th seed, a 3rd or 4th seed or something like that. So it happens, but you just have to get into the playoffs to have an opportunity to have a Cinderella run in the playoffs, and that's what we're just hoping for as Bear fans. We're crossing our fingers and crossing our toes. David Montgomery is hot. He actually is getting an opportunity.
Finally getting some blocks up front.
Getting some blocks, man. You could see the potential in him that he can run. He just couldn't get off the line of scrimmage because, the line was collapsing every time. Now that he's getting some blocking and some holes, he's actually running the football well. 4 straight games he scored a touchdown. Against the Vikings, he had a career high 146 yards with 2 scores. So David Montgomery is getting an opportunity to run the football.
He looks good.
Right. We know our receivers can catch the ball. Trubisky is playing much better. He's throwing the ball down the field, and he's using his legs. I love it. And that's what I've always wanted to see from Trubisky. He can actually run. So now when you can run the football, he can make some throws, and then if he has to freestyle, the pocket collapse, or he sees open space, he's running. So that's been great the last couple of games. It's been fun to watch the Bears actually play some decent football on the offensive end. Yeah. Our defense,
it's been great to watch, and I agree. That's probably been the biggest change that we've seen is actually calling some more innovative plays where you see Mitch doing what he does best, getting outside the pocket and making plays. And I think so that I think that's the rundown on the Bears. And
well, hold up before you go. But here's the question: so are we getting in? Are the Bears going to get in?
I'm gonna say I'm like 70% no.
Okay,
30% yes. Just based off of what I've seen this season, they did lose like 5 or 6 straight, so I can't. And every time we played a good team, we've got embarrassed this season, except for the Buccaneers, but they've been up and down. So yeah, I'm gonna go with mostly no, but I still have faith.
All right, I got to go mostly no as well. I hope they get in though, but it's gonna be tough.
Yeah,
it's gonna be tough.
Yeah. So let's talk about some basketball. The NBA is finally back after the shortest off season we've ever seen.
The NBA is back, baby.
So we want to kind of take a new take. Of course, we got the 2 big games for the opener, but we want to talk about
the 2 big games being Brooklyn versus Golden State.
Your Brooklyn Golden State
and Lakers versus Clippers.
Yep.
Yeah.
Starts
tonight, right?
Yep. And it's some. Well, by the time you're hearing this, those games already happened. So back in the swing of things. But our question is, we got a new segment. We want to go through each team and say, what do they have to win a championship this season? And we're going to start with the best teams. We're going to go off of how they finished in the playoffs last year. And then we're going to go all the way down to the last team in the league. So we will be covering every team.
Okay.
So let's start with the defending champs, the Los Angeles Lakers, after a big offseason. Before we even get into what they did this offseason and how it sets them up, we got to shout out Horton Tucker. Have you been watching him?
Oh, he's been a monster in the preseason. He's uncheckable in the preseason.
Yeah. He looks like they drafted another star. And you got the big moves getting Scrooter from OKC, getting Montrezl Harrell, Marc Gasol, Wesley Matthews, and then they just re-signed Kuzma, re-signed KCP, and of course re-signing LeBron and AD. So I think they did enough to possibly win a championship this year. I think they put themselves in a good position. I think they already had the best team. And they added a lot of talent. Everybody they lost, like Rondo, Dwight Howard, Danny Green, they were able to replace them with guys that could do similar things and even added some new abilities to the team.
Yeah, I mean, the Lakers, one thing I give them credit for, they didn't just stay stagnant. Right away, you could tell they had a plan, and they just started making moves. You know, they lost Rondo. They lost Dwight Howard. Free agency. Those guys wanted to make their money and, cash in on that championship. But the Lakers were ready. They went out and got guys to fill in those blanks and guys that can play and veteran type guys too. I think LeBron likes those type of guys that has some experience. They're dogs. They've been a little, been through a few wars. So, I think it's real smart, and I think they didn't rest on their laurels. And right now, the Lakers has to be the consensus number one. I agree with that as well.
Yeah, you gotta think that. So, if I gotta pick something of what they have to do, I think the biggest thing they lost, if I gotta point out one flaw, is they lost Dwight and JaVale. I think they were two great centers. You saw they were rotating in and out during the playoffs. Dwight was huge for him, especially in the finals. So Marc Gasol is great, but he is older. You can't expect him to play big minutes every single night, and especially down the stretch. So you're gonna want somebody he could rotate out for. So I would say, right around that waiver time, they got to pick up a backup center. You got to get somebody that can rebound, defend, and just feel. You need a couple. If you can get one or two more 7-footers on this roster, I would say that's really what they need to do.
Yeah, I think they're gonna miss playoff Rondo too, man. You say what you want, man. Rondo was MVP-ish. Maybe not for the series, not over LeBron or AD, but for the Lakers. Like, Rondo was clutch and steady and made big plays and timely.
Yeah.
And so, they're going to miss that as well. And even though, I'll say this, even though I think the Lakers are probably the number one team right now, I think they can be beat. I don't think they're like the number one team, but they can't be beat. They can't be upset. So I like them. I will say they're probably number one, but I don't think they're an unbeatable number one like Golden State was a few years ago when they picked up KD, like the Miami Heat when they had the big three. I think the Lakers have some vulnerabilities because they're a little older. I think some up-and-coming young teams are out there, but I do think they're number one at this point.
Yeah. I think they are the consensus favorites. Probably, and I expect them to stay active, around the waiver time, maybe even a surprise trade, to add some blood to the team like they did at the end of or before the season shut down last year.
All right. Miami Heat, what you think? They were the team that the Lakers beat in 6.
Yeah.
What's your assessment of the Heat?
So, the Heat, I kind of like what they did this offseason. They didn't go out do anything crazy. They got a mostly young team. Their core is pretty young. Still got Jimmy Butler. They lost Crowder and Solomon Hill, but they picked up Harkless and Avery Bradley. So I feel like they're coming in. They're saying we're confident. We believe in our guys, and they're just gonna run it back. And so And they did re-sign Dragic and Bam. They extended him, so I like what they did. They're confident in what they and if you're from the Heat's perspective, if you're looking at it, they did go 6 games, so that means they were 2 wins away from the championship, and they lost 2 of their 3 best players. They lost Dragic and Bam.
True.
And Jimmy was banged up. So if you're the Heat and we know the confidence of that team, they're probably thinking we should have won the championship. If we were healthy, we could have easily won those last 2 games. So, and you can't say they're wrong based off the way they played last season. So I like it. I like what they did this offseason.
Yeah, I think the Heat still have a chance to get back to the chip. I think they are going to have a great test in the Brooklyn Nets. I don't think the Nets are going to lay down. I think Boston is going to be a year older, a year wiser, a little stronger. You know, they added Tristan Thompson, but I'm not going to go down that path right now. I'll stick with the Heat. So, yeah, they should compete for the East Championship because they have the experience now. Jimmy Butler's the type of guy who can just put a team on his back and just, keep you from losing because he refuses to lose. So, yeah, I think they're a bona fide East contender again. But I say that, like I said with the Lakers, but there's some vulnerabilities there. I don't think they're a lock to win the East, but they have as good a chance as anyone else.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest question mark for this team. Were they just a Cinderella story that last season, or can they repeat now? You got the Nets; they're coming back stronger. The Celtics are coming back stronger. The Bucks have retooled things. You still got Indiana. You still got all these great teams in the East. Can they make a run like that? Because now they're not the underdog. Now they're the team to beat. Everybody knows they won the East last year, so people are gonna get in their best. They're not gonna sleep on them. So that's what I want to see. That's my question for how will they handle being not the underdog anymore. How will they take that?
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see. And but one thing I love, they have a great coach in Eric Spoelstra, so they're gonna be well prepared. And he never has teams that beat themselves. So that's one advantage I think that he has. Not only that dog, Jimmy Buckets, but you have arguably one of the top coaches in the NBA. In my opinion, he's a Hall of Fame coach. So it's going to be fun to watch. It's going to be really fun to watch.
Yeah, it really is. And bouncing back to the NFL. So far, we got 6 playoff teams confirmed with 2 weeks left.
Okay.
So the teams that have clinched the division so far are the Chiefs, Bills, and the Packers. So, and then the teams that have clinched the playoffs are the Steelers, Saints, and Seahawks. What do you think about some of these teams?
Well, all the teams at the top are really good. And I think let's just talk about the AFC. So in the AFC, you have the Chiefs right at the top, 13-1. Bills number 2 at 11-3. The Steelers, they're on a bit of a slide. They started off 11-0. They lost 3 in a row at number 3. So those are the 3 teams that have already clinched the playoffs in the AFC. And those teams are, I think, all have a legitimate chance of making a run to the Super Bowl. Chiefs obviously have to be the favorite overall in the entire NFL to repeat. But those Bills, man,
I wouldn't sleep on them.
Wouldn't sleep on them. Josh Allen, that young quarterback is really good. They have a solid defense. Stephon Diggs has been one of the best acquisitions, moves of the season with the Buffalo Bills. Again, you can't sleep on the Steelers because they have everything, and they were 11-0 for a reason. I know some people are kind of critical of them because they've lost 3 games, but that can happen. So I like all 3 of those teams, and the Chiefs, to me, are the clear-cut favorite to win it all and to win it. I don't see them being beat,
Yeah.
but you do have two other really good teams in the AFC going to fight it out with them. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be a cakewalk for them.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Chiefs, just watching them this season, I mean, it's like, what do you do? You know, and now they added Le'Veon Bell, you know, and you got Tyreek Hill. He has the most touchdowns in the league. Kelsey, as a tight end, has the most receiving yards in the league, which is crazy. Mahomes is probably going to be the MVP. And then you add Le'Veon Bell, who's starting to learn the offense and get more involved. So, and then people don't talk about it, but the Chiefs defense has been good too. You know, they're opportunistic. They make plays. So yeah, I think they're clearly the favorites. And if you want to beat the Chiefs, you're going to have to really come with your A game all 4 quarters. But I do like the Bills. I like Josh Allen. I want to see how he does in the playoffs. You know, he's played great in the regular season, but the playoffs is a whole different ball game, even without the full capacity stadiums yet. But we'll see if he can continue this hot streak, which I think he can. And they're going to be a dangerous team. The Steelers, they kind of got exposed. We talked about it in our previous show. We said they were undefeated, but their schedule up to that point wasn't impressive. And then the schedule got a little tougher, and some of their weaknesses are starting to show. But with Mike Tomlin, Ben Roethlisberger, they do have experience on their side, so you can't count them out, and they're still a tough team.
True that. That's true. Now, in the NFC, top 3 teams. Packers are number 1. Saints are 2 right now. Seattle is 3. And we know this is real tentative in the NFC. These teams have been juggling back and forth, probably with the exception of the Packers. They seem pretty set right now. I think that's even more wide open in the AFC. They don't have that one top dog like the Chiefs in the AFC. In the NFC, I think it's going to be wide open. Who's ever the hottest, whoever has the mo coming into the playoffs. I think the Packers might be the favorite right now, but the Saints were on a roll. They were starting to really crank it up before Drew Brees got hurt, but now he's back. So I like the Packs. I think the Saints can get back in there, but I don't like counting out Russell Wilson. So
yeah,
I really can't even say in the NFC who I think could win it. I think it's just going to be a matter of who has the Momo, who's playing the hottest, because out of those 3 teams, the Packers, the Saints, and the Seahawks, to me, any of those 3 teams can make a run and get to the Super Bowl and be playing in Tampa Bay in February.
Yeah. I agree. We're gonna have to wait and see how these last 2 weeks play out, because the NFC is a tight race, and we're only talking about the top teams. There's still other teams in the NFC that look great too. So, but out of these 3 teams, the Packers have looked the most stable. And, you know, Aaron Rodgers he's second in the MVP right now. He may edge it out. And they've been solid on defense, solid on offense all year. So they're the most consistent of these teams. But the Saints, they were looking like the best team in the NFC. Then Drew Brees got hurt, but now he's back, you know. So that's a question mark. Can he stay healthy, or is he going to be 100%, or just good enough for them to win? And then the Seahawks, they're kind of the wild card out of these teams, you know, because their defense has not been good. It's not the same since the Legion of Boom. But the way Russell and this offense is cranking, if they can get you in a shootout, you gotta like what Russell Wilson can do in the clutch. So all 3 of these guys have great veteran quarterbacks. All of them have a Super Bowl. So, I mean, like you said, it's gonna come down to momentum. It's gonna come down to, you know, will they have any injuries or any COVID protocols, you know, in these last couple weeks. So this is more up in the air.
And, you know, it's ironic you said that, the COVID protocol. You know, COVID could actually, you know, impact the entire playoffs, because one bad COVID outbreak some key players getting COVID could turn the entire playoffs upside down.
Yeah, that's a factor, we've never had to consider before.
Yeah, I mean that could be even worse than an injury, because an injury can, that's a part of the game, which is terrible. But COVID not only is like an injury because now you're out, you can't play, but there's a psychological impact to it,
Yeah, and the risk of, the practice facility being shut down, you can infect other players. It's such a crazy wild card. We've seen it, and we mentioned the Steelers. Really, their problem started with the COVID outbreak, and then they had injuries and all sorts of things happen after that. But it seemed like that was the cause of it all, or the start of all the bad events.
Yeah, and like I say, it's not like something that players are accustomed to. It's easier to have a next man up mentality when a guy, does an ankle or a knee or ACL, which is terrible.
Right.
But guys who play sports, especially at this level, have dealt with that their entire careers. COVID is a whole different animal, because now you're worried about not only your teammates' health, but their family, and, are they going to recover? And, if their wife or their children have it. It's just a whole different thing, not only, like you said, with what could happen with practice and the protocols, but just, life. And that's just a whole different beast. So that might have an impact on the playoffs. We never know.
Yeah, hopefully it doesn't. But we'll see, who had the perseverance, and you always need a little bit of luck and a little bit of favor to win.
Oh yeah, we're praying that doesn't have a factor like the NBA bubble. It turned out perfectly. Nobody caught anything, and we were just able to watch them just flat out ball, and the best team rose to the top. April T in the building. I know you got some good stuff for us. Good that we're back. So that means April T has her hot takes for us, and we get to hear her voice and hear what she has to say. Hit us up, April T.
So Adam Silver announces that there is a possibility of an NBA expansion.
So Adam Silver, the commissioner of the NBA, is saying we might get another team or some more teams?
Yeah, there's getting a lot of interest from different markets. He's being kind of quiet about it, but he just says there is a possibility of an NBA expansion.
Wow. Does he have any teams in mind? Any cities in mind, or is he just being a little ambiguous right now?
Being very ambiguous. He just said there are multiple markets that are showing great interest in getting an NBA team in the city.
Yeah, it seems like he's trying to start the bidding war and see which city will give him the most.
See who's going to pay a couple of billion for a team. I know it's a lot of cities that would love to have a team. The NBA is so hot. I know that'd be pretty cool.
And we have James Harden. It's word on the street is that he is showing uncharacteristic levels of frustration at the Rockets practices. He's throwing a basketball at a rookie. He's got into a few heated confrontations. They're expressing that he just really wants out of the Rockets. He wants to leave Houston.
Okay.
Man, I'm sure the story will come out later, but it just seems like it all went downhill, and he really doesn't want to be there. We knew that when he turned down that massive contract, so he seems pretty serious about that. And it's going to be interesting because he has like 2 years left on his deal, so the Rockets have all the leverage in this situation. They don't have to trade him right away, and that they're gonna want a lot for him. You saw what Paul George got in his trade, the Chris Paul trade, the Russell Westbrook trade. So, I mean, if you want James Harden, they're gonna make you pay. And I know the Nets are a potential landing spot, but what is it worth giving up everything you have if they even let you keep Kyrie and KD? Would you give up all of those players for James Harden plus draft picks? Probably.
I say no. Let me say this: in the context of the Nets, they don't need them. I've watched the Nets in the preseason. They're stacked. They have a really good team. And I wouldn't give up the young talent they have, the Careless Leverts and, the Joe Harris and those type of guys. They can play. And you already have KD, you have Kyrie. And I don't think you have to decimate. They have a really strong bench in Brooklyn now. The bench is almost like a starter by Dinwiddie. I wouldn't get those guys up. They're young. They can ball. I think they're going to be great complementary or role type players for KD and Kyrie. So I don't think Brooklyn would be the landing spot. They've looked too good in the preseason to take that chance. I think they're stacked. I think they're one of the favorites to win the East. And I like James Harden, but it's only one basketball. Now you have another scorer, another guy who's ball dominant, and I could see that not working out as well. And they have a really good thing going. If I was a team that needed some star power and a team that didn't win that much, like the Bulls, I would be willing to mortgage the farm to get James Harden.
Now that would be something to see, because they have a lot of young talent, got a lot of draft capital. So, I mean, that would be a move. I don't know, but if I'm Houston, I don't know if they could offer me a package good enough, because we've seen in the past, teams trade a superstar for a superstar plus draft picks. So, because you got to think about Harden, he has the marketability and the game on the court, obviously. So trying to get that back is going to be tough. So we'll see what they do.
Just see what they do. Yeah, and plus he's owed a lot of money. He's going to make $38 million this year, $41 million next year, $44 million in 21, 22, and then he has a player option for $47 million in 22, 23. So he's still guaranteed a lot of bucks. And so it'll be interesting to see what's going to happen, with Harden.
And that's all I have.
All right. Thank you, April T. It was good to have you back in the building doing your thing. So, man, we covered a lot. We covered the NFL. We covered the NBA. Everything's rocking and rolling. The NBA is going to be interesting this year. It's going to be a lot of fun. A lot of the star players that were out last year are back, with the exception of Klay Thompson. We all know about that. That was a heartbreaker, man, because I was looking forward to seeing Klay Thompson. But it's good that Curry is back. He only played 5 games last year. KD is back. Kyrie Irving is back. I think Oladipo, they say he's going to be back. So it's going to be fun. A lot of players back, a lot of movement with Westbrook, in D.C. now. And, teams on the rise like the Denver Nuggets. So it's just going to be an awesome year, man. I'm really looking forward to the NBA.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be exciting. I think a lot of the teams got better, or they're going to be better by experience, because it's a lot of young talent, and it's going to be exciting to watch.
Yeah, and the NFL is rocking and rolling too, man, because maybe with the exception of the Chiefs, we don't know what's going to happen with all these other teams. It looks like week in, week out, everybody's beating everybody. And just when you think a team is unbeatable, they start getting beaten. And that's when you think a team is dead, they wake up a little bit. So that's going to be fun as well. So, once again, with the exception of the Chiefs, the NFL has been very predictable, been a whole lot of fun, rocking and rolling. And I can't wait to see how that plays out as well.
Yep.
All right. It's a good show, man. Got anything else, Mike Burr?
That's it.
What about you, April T, on the ones and twos?
That's it for me.
All right, the Burrage Sports Show, we are back. We are glad you are back with us, all of our winners. That's what we call our subscribers. We're on a roll now. We took a little bit of a hiatus for the holiday seasons and things like that. We had a lot going on, but now we're back. Subscribe, check us out. We can be seen on all social media platforms. Please share with a friend. Please hit the like button. And most importantly, we want your comments, man. We want to hear from you. And we got some good stuff coming up. We're going to start taking callers. So we're going to hear from you. We're going to start having some special guests. We have some special guests lined up that we're going to have on the show. So for 2021, we're going to a whole nother level. The Burrage Sports Show, we're growing because of you. So we hope you enjoyed it. Mike Burr, you had some fun today?
Yep.
What about you, A Petit?
As always.
As always, Mike Burr,
Drop the beat.